The bank clerk looked at me and smiled politely. Then my own son leaned in and said, loud enough for everyone to hear, "She gets confused. I handle her money now." I didn't argue. I didn't even blink. I stood there holding my purse while strangers stared like I was already gone, like my mind had left before my body did. My daughter-in-law squeezed his arm and nodded, like they'd practiced this line before. The clerk asked me to confirm my name. My son answered for me. That was the moment I realized this wasn't help, this was takeover. They'd brought me here without explaining why, told me it was paperwork. I trusted them. I always had. I raised that boy in this country with 2 jobs and no safety net. I taught him to look people in the eye. Now he wouldn't even look at me. When I finally spoke, my voice came out steady, too steady. "I'm not confused." He smiled again, the same smile he used as a child when he'd already broken something and was waiting to see if he'd get away with it. The clerk paused. My daughter-in-law cleared her throat. And that's when I knew whatever they were doing with my money, my house, my name, it was already in motion. But what exactly had they planned for me next? After that day, things changed quietly. Not in big ways, in small cuts. My mail stopped coming to my room. Bills disappeared before I could open them. When I asked, my daughter-in-law said, "We're simplifying your life." My debit card vanished. They said I'd lost it. I stopped driving because my car keys were misplaced. Grocery bags showed up with food I didn't eat. No salt, no sugar, like I was already on someone else's diet plan. At dinner, they talked over me, about me. She doesn't need to know the numbers. She forgets anyway. I remembered everything. I noticed how my name slowly disappeared from conversations about the house, our house, the one I paid for, the one I kept when his father died and the world went quiet. When friends called, the phone rang less. When I tried to answer, my daughter-in-law would say, "I already told them you're resting." Resting felt a lot like being erased. At night, I lay awake listening to them laugh in the living room, planning vacations, renovations, futures I wasn't part of. Still, I said nothing, because a mother doesn't stop loving her child just because he stops seeing her. But love has a breaking point, and mine was getting close. What I didn't know yet was how far they were willing to go. They crossed the line on a Sunday. Family lunch, neighbors invited, church friends too. A full house, my house. My son stood up with his glass and tapped it with a spoon. "I've got an update," he said, smiling. I felt my stomach drop. He told everyone they were taking over my finances, that I'd signed papers, that it was safer this way. Then he laughed and added, "You know how Mom is, sweet, but not all there anymore." People chuckled. Someone patted my hand. My daughter-in-law pulled out a folder and laid it on the table. Property tax papers, my address, their names listed as contacts. I looked around the room. No one defended me. I stood up slowly. My legs shook, but my voice didn't. I didn't agree to that. The room went silent. My son sighed like I was embarrassing him. "Mom, please, don't do this here." That was the moment I felt it. Not anger, clarity. They weren't helping me. They were replacing me in my own life, in my own home, in front of everyone I knew. I sat back down and folded my napkin carefully, because if they wanted a performance, I wasn't ready to give them one yet. But I was done being quiet, and the next move would be mine. That night, I couldn't sleep. I stared at the ceiling and remembered his first day of school, how he cried until I promised I'd be there when the bell rang. I remembered overtime shifts, cheap dinners, saying no to myself so he could say yes to life. I asked myself the hardest question a mother can ask. When does protecting your child turn into destroying yourself? In the bathroom mirror, I barely recognized the woman looking back. Not because she was old, because she was shrinking. I loved my son. I still do. But love doesn't mean surrendering your dignity. It doesn't mean letting someone rewrite your story while you're still alive. I realized something painful that night. He wasn't confused about me. He was counting on me staying silent. So I made a decision. Not out of spite, out of self-respect. I didn't confront them. I didn't warn them. The next morning, I put on my coat, called a cab, and went somewhere alone for the first time in months. I carried no anger with me, just documents, questions, and a lifetime of receipts. And that's when everything began to change. Quietly. I met with a lawyer on a Tuesday, a calm woman, clear eyes. She listened. She didn't rush me. She asked for proof. I had it. Bank records, deeds, emails I'd never deleted. Turns out nothing they claimed was legal. No valid power of attorney, no signed transfer, just assumptions and pressure. I opened a new bank account in my name only, updated my will, locked down my credit. I requested copies of everything. Back home, I acted the same. Quiet, cooperative. They thought they were winning. Then, one afternoon, a certified letter arrived, addressed to me. My son opened it without asking. His face changed. I watched him read the words slowly, like they didn't make sense yet. Notice of revoked access, unauthorized financial control, formal request to vacate the property. My daughter-in-law started talking fast. This has to be a mistake. I took the letter from his hand. It's not. For the first time, they looked at me like they didn't recognize me. And in a way, they were right, because the woman standing there wasn't confused anymore. She was finished being used. They moved out within 30 days. No shouting, no police, just consequences. At the final walkthrough, my son stood in the doorway and said, "You really did this to us." I looked at him and answered softly, "No, I stopped letting you do it to me." That was the line. The house felt bigger after they left, quieter, but peaceful. I reconnected with friends, answered my own phone, cooked food I liked. Some nights were lonely, but they were honest. I didn't win money. I didn't win applause. I won my name back, my voice, my future. If you're listening to this and feeling small in your own family, hear me clearly. Age does not erase your rights. Love does not cancel your boundaries. Silence is not the same as strength until you choose it. Sometimes the strongest justice is calm, and sometimes the quietest people plan the cleanest exits. So tell me, would you have stayed silent, or would you have protected yourself too? Like, comment, subscribe. Your voice matters.